It's really hot outside, and the deals are even hotter with the City of Dublin natural gas. How would you like a free 40-gallon hot water heater plus free gas installation? It's easy. Just pick up the phone and call Brad Grimes with the City of Dublin Natural Gas, 277-5048, and get a free hot water heater and free installation. The City of Dublin Natural Gas, saving you money every single day.
Hey everybody, long time no see. It's Renee with CSB for you and me. That just rhymes so well. Anyways, we have a new show for you and it's COVID friendly. We're going to talk about how we are still providing services with the Community Service Board with the mindset to follow CDC rules and Dublin City's rules on how to be close to each other, still 6 feet apart, how we connect, how we show love, how we still give support within our programs.
Georgia was actually the first state in the nation to come up with a suicide prevention plan, and that occurred in 2001. It has been updated a number of times through the years, the latest of which was in 2020. When we look at suicide prevention or the risk for suicide, we look at what we consider risk factors, and having a mental health or a substance abuse concern or illness does pose a significant risk factor for suicide. Additionally, there are environmental factors that we look at. Any type of a stressor or a stressful life event might be an environmental factor to consider, or access to lethal means like firearms or drugs. Additionally, a previous suicide attempt or a family history of suicide may become a risk factor. There's a term that we use, we say means matter, and the means do matter. And so if you have someone that you suspect might be at risk for suicide, then one of the things that we would suggest is to make sure that you remove any weapons, particularly firearms or any kind of drugs at the disposal of the person, and get those out of the way, because without having a means, it makes it more difficult for someone to actually carry out the act. We look at the numbers, that the most recent numbers that we have right now for suicide in the state of Georgia, and those would be from 2018. But during that time, 1,565 Georgians died by suicide. 63% of those deaths included the use of a handgun or some type of firearm. If you want to break it down further, that is about 30 deaths a week, and it does break it down even further than that to around 4 deaths a day. So just think about those stats, when you're thinking on a day-to-day basis that we might lose 4 of our fellow citizens per day to suicide. Out of the number, 78% of the deaths were men. And the particular ages where the risk was seen, or actually the death by suicide was the largest number, were from the ages of 25 to 29, 55 to 59, and 70 and older. 22% of the suicides were female, and the most significant age group that was affected by was 45 to 49 years old. The average suicide rates are higher in rural counties than they are in our metro areas. Metro areas obviously would have more deaths because the population is larger, but the rural counties, the rates were higher. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in Georgia. It is the second leading cause of death in our young people aged 10 to 24. And the Georgia suicide rate is 15.1 suicides per 100,000 population. If you want to look at those numbers a little bit more, kind of dig down into the details a little bit more, there was a 2020 United Health America Health Ranking Report. New Jersey held the best ranking in the number of suicides in the nation, and their number was 8.6. Wyoming finished up our 50 states with the highest ranking at 25.8. Georgia's ranking again was 15.1, so we're somewhere kind of in the middle. During the pandemic, were lots of goals that we looked at, but for suicide prevention, 3 of our top goals were to make sure that we try to educate the community to understand and have a better increased knowledge of signs and factors that might contribute to suicide. We also want to make sure that we have educated our community in the ways of knowing how to reduce access to lethal means. And the third goal was to expand evidence-based trainings for gatekeepers and clinicians. And that training that we use here is Question, Persuade, Refer. It's known as QPR. It's free for the asking. We have a number of trainers on staff. Renee Avera and Tina Clements, Connie Smith, I think, are 3 of our trainers that have done a number of trainings across time, and even during the pandemic, we're able to do that through Zoom. So if you or your agency, or you know any other church or faith-based ministry or organization that would be interested in doing QPR or knowing a little bit more about it, then just give us a call here at 478-272-1190 and ask for Renee Avera, and we will be glad to do what we can to set up a training for you or anyone that you know that might be interested. I'll mention our Voices of Hope Coalition, which we've had in our area. It's a suicide prevention coalition and a very collaborative group of people that has worked diligently over the years to try to make sure that we do bring attention to this very important training need and important situation and concern in our community. Renee's going to delve into a little bit more the details about some of the specific things that we've been able to do through the COVID pandemic as we have continued our work with our Voices of Hope. But one specific thing that I think might be noteworthy is, while we have always tried to educate along any of the lines of suicide prevention, for our beginning, when we began the coalition and on into these last several years, our focus has always been our youth, and our children and youth. The last year, we decided to focus primarily on men. And interestingly, as you will remember, this is the actual category of individuals who actually have some of the higher rates of suicide across Georgia. So we appreciate, again, being able to be here today and to bring you a little bit of what we are trying to do in terms of showing the whole health needs of a person. I will be asking some of our team to come and to share some of their particular expertise around child and adolescent services, our Addiction Recovery Support Center, and our LOCC, and our Voices of Hope.
Imagine a life-changing injury. Imagine the fear and unknown. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team, the only physicians in the area with advanced certification in orthopedic sports medicine, treats sports injuries with innovative techniques. The Houston Clinic has helped nearly 1 million athletes live without pain. Imagine getting back in the game. Imagine the best game of your life. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team.
Today we're going to hear from Marnie Braswell and her child and adolescent programs and what they've done during the COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic. During this time, how are they still doing their outreaches? How are they still giving support? So check this out, Marnie Braswell and her team.
Hi, I'm Marnie Braswell, and I'm the Child, Adolescent, and Emergent Adult Coordinator at CSB of Middle Georgia. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we've been going through and how our staff and how our kids that we serve have been coping with COVID-19 and interventions that we have put into place and why we've put those interventions in place. I think at first we all heard that we would see the aftermath, or, we were expecting any time to see, people coming in or struggling with behavioral health needs. And I'll have to say we went 9 months and we were thinking, how grateful we are about this. And then all of a sudden, around Thanksgiving time, we started noticing that so many of our children were presenting to us in crisis, kids who have been people that we serve, and also those in the community that we have not served. Not only the kids, but their families as well. Just so many great needs. So we are a very innovative bunch. So we have really tried to reach out and be able to help our families in different ways. And one of the ways is that we formed, it was right before COVID or right in the midst of going through this COVID-19 epidemic, that because of our AIM grant, that is through the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, we were able to form a couple of chapters within our communities. And the first chapter I'm going to talk about is the Federation of Families. This is a national chapter. There has never been a chapter in our Region 5 area that we cover in our service area that is just available for families. And what this chapter is support for families. It's where families can come together, share resources, talk about their needs, and just have somebody to hear them when they're down, when they need help, and who better to help than somebody else who's experiencing the same sort of thing. So our Federation of Family chapters, we offer those monthly to our parents. We've had several events. One was called Trunk or Treat, and we had hundreds of families who came through, and they were able to have that experience during a celebration going through, and we were able to give them information and tell them how we could also help them. And at the same time, they were able to have family fun, and we were able to adhere to the CDC safety guidelines as far as the COVID concerns. We also have monthly parent support groups, and I can tell you I'm a parent who has a child who has behavioral health struggles, and I can't wait for those meetings to come about, because it's just a time where we come together as families. We have people who come in and talk to us about different resources. One of the things we talked about the last time that we had our parent support group was dealing with Christmas, handling how to handle the stresses of Christmas and not being able to buy gifts because of struggling in different areas. And also this month we'll be talking about how to handle grief. We've seen so many people who or so many kids who have either had parents or another family member who has passed away because of COVID-19. And it's very hard when you're working with kids to see a child go through something like that. And so we definitely want to give that resource to our families. And then the other resource that I wanted to speak about was our Youth Move. In our Youth Move, that's where we kind of cater to the younger crew, youth anywhere up to the age of 26. And we have a wonderful leader who leads that. Her name is Claire Phillips, and she has so much energy. I would just love to have a thimble of that. But she has come together, and they have done so many community projects. Although we have COVID-19 going on everywhere, we have youth in our community who have behavioral health struggles themselves, and they've been doing community projects from volunteering. They did a Thanksgiving meal for 88 families. And we also had Bebe Thomas, who donated turkeys. They've been just going out and linking with our other community partners. It's just been so heartwarming to see our youth get out and do something. It teaches them to be generous and to give back to their community. And you automatically see them being happier, and they have something to keep them busy during this time. So, and also Youth Move is a national chapter. We're the first one here in our region as well, and we're excited about that, and we're just looking forward. Now, with both of these chapters, you do not have to be a part of receiving services with Community Service Board of Middle Georgia. If you are a parent and you have concerns, or maybe you just want to join the support group because you just need to see how other people are coping, or you are youth and you just want to get involved and have something and be able to be around other people who are experiencing some of the things that you're experiencing, come and be a part of that.
I'm Don Carswell of Dublin Chevrolet. The new year means new savings on your favorite Chevy.
Dublin Chevrolet saves you up to $7,000 off MSRP on this Silverado Crew Cab.
And remember, Don sells cars well only at Dublin Chevrolet.
Hey everybody, my name is Renee, and you know me from CSB for you and me. But today I want to talk to you about what I call LOCC. It's Loving Our Community Collaborative. And it's a community collaborative that is hosted, or the hub is from Community Service Board of Middle Georgia. It is part of my job responsibility to connect with our community members, and if we can't meet the whole person's needs, because we are behavioral health based, and maybe they need clothes, or maybe they need food, or maybe they need somewhere to stay, we have learned to network, to come together monthly or quarterly to meet community members and say, hey, what do you do? What is your responsibility? What is your job? What's your passion? This is what we do. So we learn about each other, and then when a person comes in with needs, to meet their whole needs, not just their behavioral health, we can say, hey, Pam Otts, do you have a box of food? Or Lee Lumley, when's your next food drive? We have someone who needs to volunteer, and we help meet the needs of our community and each individual that comes through by networking and loving our community together. So if you live in the Dublin area, we meet monthly, every third Wednesday at 11:30. And if you live in the surrounding counties, all the way to Pulaski and Wilcox, to Montgomery and Telfair and Wheeler, we meet quarterly. I'm the coordinator of it, and if you work for a program that loves on people in your community, you're more than welcome to join us. Because of COVID, we have transferred into not face-to-face, but Zoom meetings. So you don't have to travel, you don't have to come from 2 or 3 counties away. You can just click on the Zoom during this time, and we can learn about each other, network with each other, and when we have someone that needs extra needs that you may be able to support, we know to call you. You know that man, James Steele? He's got socks in the back of his car. Hold on a minute. While you finish your doctor's appointment and make sure your meds are stable, I'll get you some socks. And that's the purpose of LOCC. And because of that, other things we've done is naturally fallen into place. We've done food drives, we've done clothes drives. When we find that there's a need within a nonprofit or a business, we come together within these meetings and gather the materials that are needed, the money, the gift cards, and we give back. And we give to them to show support. But we also have naturally started events. So during COVID-19, we've had 2 major events that were COVID friendly. One was our car rally, Tri-County Car Rally. We had over 30, sometimes 50 cars join together and start in Dublin. Nobody got out of their car. Everybody stayed in. We heard from our Mayor Best. When you watch part 2 of our episode today with COVID, you will see and hear from Claire Phillips. She shared her testimony. She shared about how she fought recovery and how she won and how recovery is real. And we traveled throughout our state in our cars and had lunch, brought awareness, met up with people, stopped in Statesboro, we stopped in Jessup, and we had more rallies in those towns just to show that recovery is real. While we stayed COVID friendly, while we kept our distance, but we still made a difference. Another event that we've done through our Love in Our Community Coalition is partnering with Voices of Hope, which is a suicide prevention coalition for Dublin-Lawrence. And it has been an amazing adventure for me to personally be a part of. We have met Jessica Brown this year, and she has been brave enough to tell her story about her brother and how he was successful with attempting and committing suicide and the effects that it had on her and her family. And we had Roderick Pittman speak. If you've not seen this, it is on TV 35, the whole event, and it is moving how much we need to talk about suicide prevention, how much we need to ask questions to other individuals. Voices of Hope works so hard to make sure we have the right education and the supports for our community. And we were able to do that on a flatbed truck in the VA parking lot with our car radios tuned in for our sound to stay COVID friendly. So there are things that are obstacles during this time of COVID-19, but services and supports for behavioral health and community networking, we're still doing it. We're still there. And I am very proud and thankful to be part of a community service board and to be the coordinator for our Loving Our Community Collaborative and to be a very active member of our Voices of Hope Suicide Prevention Coalition for Dublin-Lawrence. If you would like to get involved, you can contact me, 478-278-1190. Ask for Renee. Renee, that girl on TV for CSB, for you and me.